Hi everyone, welcome to Bello's Designs. I'm Catherine and today we're going to make a magical set of cards called the Frosty Night. This is just the beginning of a series of cards by our talented design team that we'll be sharing with you each day this week. We are calling it Batch Making Last Minute Christmas Cards. It's going to be an exciting and creative week. I hope you enjoy this video and stay tuned for more fun cards in the coming days. Let's talk about what we need to get started. We'll be using two stamps from Lavinia that you can find on Bello's, and I will link them in the description box below. We'll be using the Christmas Tree Group LAV021 and Oakley LAV935. I'm also using some Smooth and Supreme Multifarious Cardstock. I have cut 4 pieces down to 4.5 by 6.5. And those will be our card toppers, and we'll be putting them onto 4 cards that finished will be 5 by 7. So I have cut them down to 10 by 7 and scored them at the 5-inch mark. We'll use a few masks today. I have a moon mask from my own personal collection, but I will also link the Lavinia moon masks in the box below. I'll be using the Christmas tree from the Sticker Stencils number 2, and we'll be using our acetate hill masks. In addition to that, you're going to want to have a water bottle and some paper towels because we'll also be using our acrylic sprays. I have the emerald green and the bright white. And then the inks that I found match those really nicely are a combination of the pine and the mermaid from Elements. So I'll be using both of those today, as well as Versafine, Clair, and Avocado and Nocturne. The other supplies that we'll need in the order that I'll be using them are 2 number 7 brushes from Lavinia Stamps to blend my inks. I'll be using my chalk pastel pencils in white and light blue. I always forget what those are called and I have to look at the box. Sorry about that. I also have my Uniball White Gel Pen. And I'll be using a Posca pen for some paint splatter to make my snow, and also a wink of Stella in the clear for a little bit of extra shimmer in our snowstorm. And then finally, we will be using some stickles, and I have the crystal, and I'll be using that to make a frosty sheen on my trees. To put my card together today, I'll be using my glue press from Sweet Petunia, as well as my MISTI to stamp Oakley. So let me pull all of that together and we'll be back to get started. The first step in creating this card today is to spray our backgrounds. I'm going to start by spraying my background with water, and then I'll be using a combination of the emerald green from Lavinia along with the bright white acrylic sprays. So I'm going to go ahead and give these a really good shake up, and for the purpose of my video I'm using a small box, but when I batch make I use a much bigger box. So I will speed this up so you don't have to watch me do each card individually. So let's start by getting it wet, and since it's the multifarious, we can be confident that it's going to hold a lot of water and retain its shape at the end. So I'll give a couple sprays with the emerald green, and I'm going to come back with the white just to tone that down a little bit. As you can see, my card has curled up a little bit as it was drying, and I was using my heat tool to dry the rest of them. But I wanted to show you that when that happens, you can simply flip your card over and give it a couple sprays with your mister, and that will help it that'll help it go back into place and be nice and flat once you're done hitting it with your heat tool. Because it is an acrylic spray, it's not water reactive, and so it will not change the background. You don't have to worry about it getting wet on your paper while you're drying it and spraying the back. And we're just trying to get our cardstock nice and smooth at this point. So my card toppers have had some time to dry, and I sped that up with my heat tool. Honestly, it didn't take any longer than 5 minutes, but if you don't have a heat tool, this would be a really great time to go bake a batch of cookies or decorate that Christmas tree. But we're going to move on. So the next step in my project is to stamp the Christmas trees using the Avocado in Versafine Clair. So I've decided that on my backgrounds, I'll be using the lighter space of each of my cards just to keep towards the top. And I'm going to stamp about 1/3 of the way down so that my trees look like they're in the background behind Oakley. So here we go. The trees are all stamped on our background, so let's go ahead and use our MISTI to ink up Oakley and stamp him onto each of our cards. Now that we've stamped Oakley onto all of our cards, I'm going to come back with my moon mask and figure out exactly where I'd like that moon to be. And I think on this card, I'm going to place it right over the trees. And so using my number 7 brush, I'm just going to pick up a little bit of my mermaid ink. Make sure to dab any extra off in my lid or on my scrap paper. And just hold your mask down and come from the mask just right off the edge to make that moon. So I'm going to avoid my trees. Don't want to turn them blue. And we'll just, there we go. And there's our moon. So I'm pretty happy with that one. Let's move on to our second card. And once again, just holding it down. Now this one's a little dark, but we're going to make it darker. So in the end, I promise it's all going to look great. So once again, just starting off my mask and pulling that color out towards the edges. Okay, we just want the illusion of the moon. Okay, that's number 2. This is our third one. I think I'm going to make this one a little bit differently since we have so much bright space all the way over to the left. Let's go ahead and move the moon to this side of our card. And again, just pushing that ink out from the center of my mask to the edge. There we go. That's 3. And this will be our last one. I have a nice white space right there, so I'm going to use that. Place my moon right over it, and then once again just pull that ink off the mask and onto the card. And you can blend that out a little more too if you'd like. Okay, there we go. Now let's bring our hill mask back in, and we're going to mask off under the trees just to create that ground line. So once again, using the Elements ink in Mermaid. and just coming off the mask onto the paper. Okay, and we'll do that on each of our cards. And here's our final card. Now let's bring in our Christmas tree mask, and we will create the tree behind Oakley. So just stick that down, and I'm going to come back with the pine for the middle of my tree, and then towards the outside we'll use the mermaid and make it a little bit darker. So switching brushes to my green brush and just coming in from the edge to the middle. Let's swap out the pine for the mermaid, and we'll get just around the edges of the tree. Our trees are done, so I'm going to come back with my hill mask and just add some shadow to the ground under the tree and a little bit under Oakley. So here we go. Just doing that with the mermaid and not the pine. Now our cards are nearly done, it's time to just come in and add the details and the finishing touches. So I'm going to start with my white gel pen, and I'm going to add just a little bit of snow to the trees. And sometimes these need just a little bit of priming, and that's okay, that's normal. So just add a little bit here. Sometimes you need to prime them again in the middle of your project, and that's fine too. All right, let's come back in with our light blue pastel pencil, and I'm just going to add some shading under the trees, a little bit of highlights. A little bit under Oakley. Just blend it out. And then we'll do that on each of our 4 cards. You could use it to add a little shadow if you wanted to. There's 2. That's 3. And here's our last one. All right, now I'll come back in with my white pastel pencil, and I'm going to add a little bit of highlighting to my stencil tree and to Oakley. So we have highlighted all 4 of our cards. Let's come back with our Posca pen, and we're going to splatter snow all over everything, including this desk. And then I'll be moving to my Wink of Stella and finally my stickles. So here we go. Just get that all primed up. Make sure it's working. Add some snow. Okay, there's one. Move to 2. Number 3. All right, here's number 4. Knock that right out of my own hands. Here we go. All right, that's done. Now I'll do the same with my Wink of Stella, just to give it a little bit of extra shimmer. Make sure that's primed up, nice and juicy. There you go, you can see it bubbling. It's ready to go. This will give us a little more snow and some extra shimmer just for some holiday fun. Okay, there's one. Number 2. There's 2. Three and 4. All right, there we go. Let's come back in with some stickles. We're going to add it to these trees in the background. Just a little of that. I'm going to smudge it a little bit. That will help with the drying time. It's not so thick. Here, not too particular either. Just being a little sloppy, and that's fine. I'm not being very particular with the stickles. I'm just adding it on and smudging it. And because we use the acrylic spray for the background, it's not going to bleed. It's not going to make our ink smudge and bleed. Okay, that's 2. We might be a little clogged up here, so I'm gonna just use a pin to pull that out, and let's move on to our 3rd card. That's 3. And here's our 4th one. And 4. Now at this point, you could go back and bake another batch of cookies or use your heat tool and dry off your card. And since I'm hoping by the time this is playing all my cookies are baked, I'm going to go ahead and use my heat tool. Our cards are finished and they're ready to be adhered to our card bases. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Sweet Petunia glue press to help me get that wrapped up. So here we go. And so here we have our set of 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, all beautiful, snowy, sparkly, and shimmery. These are perfect quick cards to use for Christmas or winter birthdays. I hope that you enjoyed your time with me tonight, and thanks for staying. If you are not already a member of our Facebook groups, please consider joining us at Bello's Designs Lounge, where we feature cards and projects using mostly Lavinia stamps, and also Bello's a la carte for all other lines that Bello sells. See you soon.